Devil's Broth.
Devil's Broth.
Devil's Broth.
Devil's Broth.
Devil's Broth. When you need a distraction. Devil's Broth.
Watch a movie and have a reaction.
Devil's Broth.
The main attraction.
Devil's Broth. Film faction.
Jukebox is now fixed. It's up and running. Okay.
Okay, guys. Devil's Broth Film Faction. This will be episode 7. We've had a 2.5 year hiatus.
Season 2.
Yeah, season 2.
Season
This is
2.
season 2. Okay. We missed season 2. I think this is season 4. Okay. Sorry.
We're starting it off with a movie that some of us like and some of us don't.
Some of
Apparently.
I wanted this
Paul
guy-
Bartel's, I don't know if you'd call it classic, but cult horror comedy, Private Parts from 1972.
Dark comedy.
Not to be confused with the Stern movie.
Brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant cult film. Probably my favorite movie ever. I'm just trying to start some shit early.
Did the
bold.
microphone
We already did the
record by
Serpico
head
episode.
snap?
We already did the Serpico
Oh, sorry.
episode.
Second favorite ever. Just kidding. But,
So I guess a little background on the movie.
I'm
it was-
Chip Monkington, though. I wasn't here before.
Oh, Chip Monkington.
Chip Monkington. Yep.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I was with O.O. Dam last night. It was amazing.
That's right. We forgot to
How's old Herb Pease doing?
introduce ourselves.
Her peas is fucked.
Hanging out with Jackie Hammerhips.
They're hung up together.
Herb Pease is season 1. Who
They're
are
actually-
we tonight?
They're actually living in a cabin down in Vicksburg, Connecticut, I believe. This is me. I'm Chip Monkington.
Oh,
D'Lo Clemens
D'Lo Clemens
and Wayne here,
Wayne.
and
Okay.
Wayne.
rounding out the triad. So I guess a little bit of background. There's not a whole bunch of information on the movie. It's I couldn't find anything on
There
budget.
wasn't a lot to find. No.
I didn't look. I
But-
just basically pieced awards together with our sponsors. We now have about 14 sponsors, which is nice. We got like 5 listeners and 14 sponsors. So that's gonna go over well. Sorry. Oh damn.
Yep.
Sorry.
The only financial information I could find in all the research was apparently Gene Corman, who's Roger's younger brother.
I noticed that.
He had been he got a contract with MGM to produce some films in the early 70s. He actually did 3 pictures in 72, including this one, Private Parts. The other 2 were blaxploitation films called Cool Breeze and Hitman.
I'm sure they were just treats.
And in 1973, he produced a Jim Brown movie called The Slams.
I gotta see those. If they were anything like Private Parts, I got that Private Parts poster fucking framed at my house.
Nice.
Just kidding.
I'm working on acquiring that.
It's not really in my top 100 of all times, but
So like
it's a nice cult movie.
the only financial information I could find was that the script cost $60,000,
Oh my fuck.
and
sorry.
which seems like you could have made the budget for the movie could have been less than that.
Right.
But I couldn't find any information on the budget. But apparently the movie was a colossal flop.
Yeah.
And
I mean, was it even pretending to? Was it even trying to be anything? Did it even get into theaters?
it was in theaters, and like the New York Times actually even
Oh my-
reviewed it.
Oh,
And
shit.
it was a studio picture. It was MGM, but
okay.
they eventually didn't know how to market it, so they put it like under one of their subsidiary Premier Pictures or something.
That was back in
And
the good old
they
days.
it basically had no promotion
Yeah.
whatsoever. So it was a colossal flop.
Later turned into a cult classic that D'Lo Clemens ranks among his favorites ever.
False
Oh, my bad.
statement.
Least favorites with
Ever.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Killer Clowns.
We can save that for later.
Sorry, save it for the podcast, okay?
So,
Getting text here from Brooke.
so
Future
Gene,
wife, just in case.
Gene was
this
Roger
matters.
Corman's younger brother, and he was a
Did he do a lot of movies?
he produced a bunch of movies. He produced like, what was it? Like maybe a few movies in the '50s that like Roger got his start with, like Attack of the Giant Leeches,
Oh, nice. That's crazy.
Premature Burial. Later on, he did some movies. Fist, 1978, with Sly Stallone.
Fist?
Directed, I think that was Norman.
That was it. That was
Norman Jewison.
That was a name proposed for the
Never
band
heard of
Super
that
for the
one.
supergroup band that ended up being Damocracy with Ted Nugent and Sebastian Bach. At one point, it was considered to be called Savage Animal,
I think I recall that.
but they were going to be called Fist. It's a very, very weird and
Who was
obscure.
gung ho on Savage Animal? Sebastian
was what?
or Nugent? Who was gung ho on the
Oh, that's Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian?
I love how we get into that just from Fist. But Jason Bonham shot it down because it was too phallic. It was a whole like arm. It was like a coke, bit of a coke. But okay, so a bit of a coke. Are we start in the movie or wait?
Sure.
Because there's a award right out of the gate once you get
So
going.
you never found
because
the
Brent
bu-
loves
the
that it starts with
budget
man ass
at all? Just
I couldn't
the
find.
script.
Yeah, I just saw that
Bro,
I
stop
thought that was
texting
really
me.
high price for
Just kidding.
just buying the script because the
Yeah.
guys who wrote the script had. Let me just get these guys out of the way real quick because they only did one other movie and it was a Spanish language movie starring
Oh,
Richard
man.
Conte, who was most famous for playing Don Barzini in The Godfather, which also came out in this same year, 1972. Philip Kearney and Les Rendelstein.
That's my guy.
Rendelstein. They have one other
said
career writing
Grendel?
credit. And then they were out of the business after this. They took their 60 grand and split, I guess. I don't know.
That's fucked. Well,
Yeah, it's a good idea.
we start the picture with some man ass.
Well, the credits first. The credits. It looked like it was going to be a legit, real movie.
You're calling this
There was some nudity
illegitimate
in the
movie?
credits.
Yeah.
That's always a plus.
It's an impressive opening. It's kind of Hitchcockian
Yeah.
in some way. There's like a lot of blues and reds and a bunch of.
Pinks.
It kind of ends
maybe.
that way too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
They're like photo negatives, and there's like a smattering of.
Why'd you do that? Did you see some
Stills.
levels messed up with that?
And then they show like a picture in like amongst all those naked folks. You could see like a picture of a guy with a knife, and it's sort of like foreshadowing of. I think it's illustrating the death of Alice, which kind of permeates the plot of the story throughout. You know.
Yeah, credits, man ass.
That scene actually got an award by one of our sponsors. If you'd like me to read that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Tommy's kid. His name's Jacoby, of course, named after the third baseman for the Tribe down at Tommy's Jungle Safari Hair Salon. They wanted to give the lion mane man-ass lion with his odious mullet test and their Den of Hideous Fuckery award. It's the first ever. Free hair jobs down there with a cut and color for $85. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks to them.
Who got the award?
The couple. The couple. They're
together.
the first for the lion man mane.
I believe that's Alice.
Yeah. The guy has the lion mane, so that's why he qualified. She has the nice mullet, and they were both naked on the bed, and they're both hideous and odious and annoying as fuck. So
Have we got to her watching them then? Part yet? Is that where we're at?
all right, we got another award for that. Another sponsor for that one. No, there are a lot of sponsors and awards out of the gate. But you guys go ahead, cover that, please.
Okay, so scene one, you open on a man's ass.
We got an award
Yes,
for
sir.
that.
Right away, like instantly, goes from black to
It's a little off-putting. You know?
man ass.
Just pumping into this woman.
There is a woman in there, but all you can really see is her legs and the man ass.
She's hideous.
So then it zooms in on a giggling, peeping Tom type person. You can't tell if it's a guy or a girl because she's wearing, well, it turns out to be a she, like penny loafers or something.
Right.
Turns out it's Cheryl Stratton.
Cheryl from
So
Cher
are we
Mountain.
getting into that right away? Is it Cheryl or is it Cheryl?
It's pronounced both ways by
I'm-
different the same people pronounce it different ways.
So
She's
how do
from-
they pronounce it? It
think
goes.
it's
It
Cheryl.
changes through the whole movie.
Yeah.
From Cheryl
Oh, some people
to
call her
Cheryl.
Yeah.
And she's
Like
from,
nobody is. I've never heard it pronounced Cheryl.
And where's she from in Ohio?
Cleveland,
Oh, she's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we're not
Okay.
far from there right now.
No, we are.
And
No, we are.
we don't pronounce it that way here
Cleveland.
ever.
She might be from Chair Mountain.
That's
She-
possible.
Flamebelt Solomon has a place there. We actually have a sponsor there on Chair Mountain. Sorry, I'll get into that later.
I wanted to write.
Flamebelt Solomon.
I wanted to write
Little
down
Fred
and add
Puerto
in every
and,
time a character was introduced how they pronounced it.
Yeah.
Either Cheryl
It's
or
Cheryl.
You're right. I think that girl in the Alice, maybe in the first scene, she does go both
The
ways.
Drescher.
I think-
The Drescher fanboy.
I think even her aunt pronounces her name Cheryl.
I like to
and
pronounce.
Cheryl
I like
at
to
different
pronounce
times.
aunt, like the urban community.
It depends on where you grow up.
I call it aunt,
Some people call it soda. Some people
but it's
call
AU.
it pop.
AU. Drescher Fanboy Consortium reaches out here to present the Noise Voice Award to Judy because her voice is so hideous. The Noise Voice Award. It's the Drescher Fanboy Consortium.
She's jealous because she can't get any action for herself. Nobody's interested in robbing the cradle. Oh, shut up.
So they're in a pretty cool apartment, though.
Yeah,
on
beach,
the beach.
beach house.
There's only a few locations in this whole movie, and this is the only
So-
one this happens.
Yeah, there
Right.
are very. It's very minimally shot. There's
So they're
very
already
few
in
locations.
LA. Okay.
They're
This is
in
like
a-
the anti-Serpico. There's like
four.
what 4 or 5 different locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many.
Just like yeah.
So Cheryl's peeping in on this guy humping this lady who happens to be her roommate, Judy. And Judy says, "Grab her, pull her in here," because they catch her spying on him. Basically, she says she forgot her keys, and apparently it's a 1-bedroom because she says it's my room too. You're always in here with boys. Cheryl says that, and then
Sure.
Judy, I guess. I guess the repercussions of being a peeping Tom is getting raped because she says, "Come on, let's strip her."
Yeah.
Maybe you'd like another lesson in case you missed any details. Come on, let's strip her. Get your hands off of me.
Judy, cool it.
You
cut it out.
Judy.
Relax, will you?
That's the 70s for you, right?
She wants to teach Cheryl a lesson, but
Cheryl.
I don't know. I guess rape is.
Let's strip.
Then she absconds with some funds.
Let's strip her.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe we should we talk about these characters here?
Go ahead.
Cheryl is the
I'm
main.
just here with the awards and the sponsors.
Cheryl's the main character, or Cheryl, if you will. It's played by Ayn.
Cheryl.
A-Y-N, or Ayn Royman, R-U-Y-M-E-N.
And I had Judy right? She's the one who got Noise Voice from the Drescher Consortium.
Man,
Yeah.
I was wrong. I thought that was Alice.
Alice doesn't live
is
here anymore.
Yeah, Alice is in the.
Alice is the former
Alice you
model.
don't ever
She's
see,
only in
maybe.
the posters.
Yeah,
The
she's
blow-ups.
she's
Man, I
the
messed
one
up.
She's the one that Georgie boy got.
I
to
messed
her.
up at the beginning there.
So some
Judy,
background
I'm
on Ayn Royman. She was 25 years old at the time of filming.
sorry. This is deep research.
This
so.
is there's not much
Wow.
to go. There's not much. It's her debut film, and only lead role in her career. The only other feature she was appeared in was Jaws, and she was uncredited.
She was in Jaws.
Yeah, apparently
She was.
she had an uncredited role as a nurse. She did 6 TV movies and appeared as a guest star on 20 different television programs.
You might have to fine tooth comb Jaws.
Bonanza, Beretta, Hawaii Five-0. Beretta, actually, the bulk of this movie is filmed at the, what hotel is that?
The name of the
King
hotel?
Edward
King
Hotel?
Edward, yeah.
Oh,
And Kojak and Beretta had apparently filmed a bunch of episodes there.
She was probably in one episode of those, right?
Perhaps. She
Damn.
appeared in only one series with a recurring role when she did the full 12-episode season of The McLean Stevenson Show.
Never heard of that one.
And internet rumors have her teaching a high school acting class in the early 90s, and later working at a cancer clinic in Mendocino.
so this is pretty, like about the only thing she has to hang her hat on. Private Parts masterwork.
I think I remember seeing her in an episode of Rod Serling's Night Gallery as well.
You did, or
Don't lie. Go die.
And Judy, played by Ann Gibbs. This is one of 3 films she appeared in, including Dear Dead Delilah, 1972, and something called Lies from 1985.
Fuck her.
Her only other 2 credits were 2 episodes of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
Dr. Quinn. Amazing. There's a Quinn now
Called
that
it a
we have.
day.
And what's the director's name again? It escapes me. Bartel.
Paul
Paul
Bartel.
He did Death
Okay.
Race 2000.
He did some acting stuff. He wasn't in this, right?
He made.
He had a
makes
cameo, yeah.
Where
He's that guy in the
okay,
park on
Point
the
him
road.
out later. I was looking.
He
I'll
was-
point you out where he is.
Do you remember the guy in the park that comes out in a robe? He's like jerking off behind a tree. That's
Yeah,
him.
yeah, that's
Horseshoe.
for sure.
Yeah, that's him.
He could have been
Huh.
pissing or shitting.
True. I didn't. Yeah.
But I think he was wearing a raincoat, so it might have been some perverted activity.
You went straight Louis C.K. with it.
I'm
Is that
sorry.
What we
I was
call that now?
I just get like a
that
flasher.
what-
I get a flasher feel. I
Is
get a
that what we
flasher.
call?
No, he only does it in
Masturbation.
private room hotels.
With consent,
mm-hmm.
allegedly.
Gets permission first.
Or when he jerks off in front of people.
These days, my problem is very simple. It's trying to find a place in my house where I can masturbate without somebody bothering me. And that's really difficult.
All right, so let's just get Bartel out of the way, too. He's
Knock
the
him
director.
Okay.
This is his debut film. He went to UCLA Film School and later won a Fulbright scholarship to study film in Europe.
It sounds like a good start.
He ended up getting a stint in the Army as an assistant director on documentaries.
I like that. Europe.
Let's see, he was hired... Yeah, he was hired on Death Race 2000 and Cannonball, the Roger Corman pictures.
And that's how I found Private Parts years ago, is because I was so big into Death Race 2000. And I looked deeper into it, and I was like, oh, let's check out Private Parts and Eating Raoul.
That's a solid
Yeah.
movie, though.
Eating Raoul.
That is a solid movie. Is Death Race?
Oh, yeah,
2000.
for sure. Well, yeah. And this one as well.
Eating
I
Raoul is
know.
kind of like a companion piece to it's got like the same vibes as this one does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Private Parts.
It's a little, I don't know if you've seen Eating.
You might not like
I'm gonna-
Eating Raoul
I
either.
was just gonna say. I think I'm leaning towards skipping eating.
Yeah, you might want
Raoul.
to talk to Fanukin on that. Fanukin refers to it as eating.
What's
He
it
hates
called?
He hates it.
Oh,
Eating Raoul.
he just calls it.
He's like,
eating?
oh my god. Yeah, he brings up the time when we all got together and I brought up.
See, when I was looking what else he'd done, and I came across that, and I was like, I don't know. I looked at what it was about. I've heard this name many times, so I guess from what I'm hearing, I'm gonna skip that.
Skip it.
So
then-
you were talking about Bartel's acting. He was in. He has over 90 acting credits, including appearances in Hi Mom, which is a Brian De Palma movie that starred De Niro. Piranha, with his buddy Joe Dante directed, who did
I've
like The
seen
Howling,
that,
and
but
but he was also like a Corman underling, and he appeared in European Vacation, Caddyshack 2, Gremlins 2,
Gremlins 2 solid. Caddyshack
He was
2
a-
is
he was
not.
Escape from L.A., all sequels.
That's
Bartel
okay.
he peaked during the early to mid '80s.
He died in 2000. He had liver cancer.
I didn't recognize him. His picture.
Yeah, he's not really. He was never really a matinee idol.
No, but I've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah. He's just more of a bit part guy.
I've
So
seen a
as
few
far
of
as
those.
like the failure of Private Parts, Bartel in an interview with Fangoria said, the terrible problem with Private Parts was that the title could not be advertised in a number of cities. So when you have a title you can't print in the paper, it's a big problem. Secondly, MGM didn't know how to market it because they didn't know whether to market it as a horror film or a sex film.
All right, or a quasi comedy dark fuck pick,
Yeah. Yeah.
or as a water-filled blow-up blood.
That's why
injected
it's so
film
awful.
fetish.
That's
The
why
Make
I
a
believe
Fetish
it's so
Foundation,
awful.
the spin-off of the Make a Wish Foundation. They we'll get to that. The Make a Fetish Foundation.
That's why I think it's so
They-
awful. Because
they donated to our
what
cause.
is it? It is a mess. It's more of a mess.
He just had a lot of He just had a lot of crazy dark ideas. He tried to push into all those characters in the hotel. You know, he just wanted to make it a quirky little scandalous fuck fest with some killings and such. So, where are we at? Okay, where am I?
So Cheryl gets caught peeping, and then she decides to move out.
Honest, Cheryl, I don't know why you had to come all the way to L.A. to hide in closets and peek in windows. Go to hell, Judy.
After her roommate tries to rape her.
Beach scene.
So she walks out with the suitcase, goes to the pier after lifting Judy's wallet.
Oh, yeah.
Tosses all her shit out, with the pics and whatnot. Also, the music here, there's a lot of empty space as far as dialogue goes, and it's all filled with music. And the guy who did the music was Hugo Friedhofer.
It was quite delightful.
Let's throw some in right here.
Some of that music was, boom. We're going to hit you with some music right here.
You're listening to a little bit of a blanket underneath here. Some Friedhofer music. He's actually a legendary composer and one of the, if there was a different soundtrack, it would probably be a way worse movie. Not that it's a great movie, but he did the score for Casablanca. He did the score for Hitchcock's Lifeboat, Joan of Arc, and Affair to Remember. Won an Oscar for his music for The Best Years of Our Lives, 1946.
So we're still like 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
It still could be a movie.
It's a movie.
We're still like a regular, okay.
I
got a
thought
movie.
I think
here.
the opening credits are probably the best thing. I mean, the music's amazing. The credits are classy.
Like the first scene, we're like, okay.
So then she arrives
some
where?
good, decent music.
If she's arrived at that hotel, we got another sponsor we got to plug.
Yeah, she ends up walking to the King Edward Hotel.
Okay, and right here I'd like to
where
say...
she
Sorry, go ahead.
looks in a shop window,
Oh.
applies some lipstick and a heavy dose of whorish eye makeup.
Oh, yeah, blue. It's like turquoise, I believe.
Yep.
And she walks in, and that's when this next word is dedicated to little Eddie Fu. He was killed last month down at the sweatshop at Shanghai Plastics. They actually sent us a really nice collection of other giant glasses because they wanted to issue Cheryl the Cheek Cutter Award for those giant-ass glasses she has. And the kids down at Shanghai Plastics, they were kind enough. They sent us a few pairs for all of us.
Thank you.
No problem. That was going out to little Ed Fu. He was killed last month. Excuse me. Sorry, Ed.
So Cheryl walks into the hotel and rings the bell, and this priest guy comes out of the elevator with his laundry.
He pronounces it Cheryl. He says Cheryl.
That would be
every time.
The normal pronunciation.
Right. Correctly.
And
well, how would he even know her name? She must have
well,
said
eventually, I'm just
Oh,
saying.
oh.
Whenever he does know it and says it, it's Cheryl.
And this is Reverend Moon, played by Laurie Main. It's a man named Laurie, which is...
And this girl I know
Is he
named
British?
Brooke, she said he looks like a cross between Dr. Phil and Uncle Phil. Is there an Uncle Phil from what's it called?
That would be Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince. She was all about Uncle Phil. She got a big laugh there. Good job, Brooke. It was like a doctor. Mine was Dr.
A cross
Phil.
between Uncle Phil and
like-
Dr. Phil.
And we don't even have an award for that one. We couldn't quite link up that sponsor in time. I wasn't able to get my hooks in them.
So this guy, he was Australian born and moved to England in his teens.
Yeah.
He was a working actor from 53 to 1999. He was most known for narrating Winnie the Pooh shorts.
The Yod Bombs
Probably heard him before.
Yod Bombs University, they wanted to award him with the honorary degree in tee-hee-hee for that laugh he does. They wanted to give him an honorary award for that laugh. Against Yod Bombs U. So they were kind enough to
YU.
YBU gave him an honorary degree in tee-hee-hee because he's like tee-hee-hee. And he gives that laugh, and they really were into it, and they wanted to give him that. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
So he's dressed as a man in the cloth, but I believe he is no padre.
No, he's a bit of a sinister minister, if you will.
Well, the pedophile Panthers down at Rikers Island, they wanted to give him an award as well. The Creepy Perv Ball Slurpin' Nerd Award of 1972. That's going to go to him from the pedophile Panthers down at Rikers Island in Queens, New York. They were kind enough to, get together. And, although they're probably prey down there, but they gather together as the pedophile Panthers. Okay, back to you guys.
So after the meeting with the padre there, an old woman comes down the stairs and says there's no vacancies.
Hold on.
Okay.
What the fuck?
I couldn't wait to fucking come out with that.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I had too much time on my hands today. I was like, I'm just gonna fucking put together all these awards. Oh, when you mentioned him, when you mentioned him, I'm like, oh my god, we got. When you mentioned that guy, I was like, fuck, we got 2 for him.
We're a half hour in and we're on scene 2.
You live here?
I certainly do. It's very conveniently located. Well, good luck.
Okay, we can.
Oh, by the way, cinematography is by Andrew Davis. He's a Chicago guy, and this is his first credit as a cinematographer. He was initially considered to direct the film.
Speaking of him, we got an award coming.
Later went on to become a successful action director. Did a pair of Steven Seagal films, Above the Law and Under Siege. Most known for directing the classic 7-time Academy Award-nominated thriller, The Fugitive. You switched the samples, didn't you? Anybody?
Solid movie.
I didn't realize we were up to that. The Sinister Minister. I like that. That was a good one.
Okay, so the lady comes down the stairs and says there's no vacancies, and they have to be selective of who they choose as clientele because they are one of the last respectable hotels in the city.
Classic line from the.
Which is a far cry from the truth. And it turns out, I don't know if this
delusional.
was the reason why Cheryl went to the hotel,
Cheryl.
but it's her Aunt Martha, who has a very weird Southern accent.
Had they ever met before? Right?
Yeah.
Barely, right?
I do have another award here. If you might.
This is this for the young or the older gal.
Aunt Martha, the Sheiks
Aunt
up at the
Martha.
Ugly Tree in Buffalo, they wanted to give her the Plus Her Face Award because everything's fucking hideous plus her face. The Plus Her Face Award to Aunt Martha. Thank you. That's the Sheiks at the Ugly Tree in Buffalo, New York.
I'm sorry, I have no vacancies. There's a place down the block you might try.
Oh, no,
This is one of the last respectable hotels left in the city. And we have to be extremely selective about our clientele.
Aunt Martha's played by Lucille Benson. She's Alabama-born. Film debut in the 1960 The Fugitive kind, directed by our old pal Sidney Lumet, starring Marlon Brando. Did a bulk of her acting in the 70s. Was in a pair of Spielberg flicks, Duel and 1941.
2 of the worst.
Slaughterhouse 5, Silver Streak.
Vonnegut.
She played Mama Coltrane on an episode of Dukes of Hazzard. That's the mother of Roscoe P. Coltrane.
How many episodes?
God, yes.
Just one?
Just one, I think.
Man, I don't remember that. I've seen every episode.
Had a recurring role on 2 seasons of Bosom Buddies.
Hmm.
She passed in 84.
I like that Bosom Buddies show.
Go wash that paint off your face before you come to dinner. Doesn't she say something like that?
Yeah.
Right around that point? You go. So that's when you know she's kind of psychotic, when she just flips out on that girl for wearing a bit of paint. She's a bit of a Puritan.
A little bit of Norman Bates.
A little bit of, yeah. A little bit of
Miss
ham.
Bates.
She's got some hammy hands. She
But
wants
Norman
to get her paws
Bates
on somebody and
dressed
just
up as
choke the
mom,
shit
but
out of
really
them.
is a woman.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, I was trying to think of something for that. 'Cause she looks like she's a cross-dresser. She's a thumper.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheryl tells Aunt Martha that she gives her the sob story about her father drinking and she had to get out of there. And she's from Cleveland, Ohio, if we didn't mention that. I think we did mention that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she tells Aunt Martha she needs a place to stay for a few days. And Martha gives her a room.
Now, I'm letting you stay here on one condition. That you promise not to wander around the hotel alone. This is no place for a little girl.
Little
And then-
foreshadowing.
And then she says, wash that paint off your face before you come to the dinner table.
Yeah, because she's wearing some. It's pretty garish gear, garish makeup she's got on.
I think she calls
dig
her a
it, though.
painted whore at one point.
Yeah, she's hard on the girl. She's hard on her.
Now, you get some rest, and I'll call you for dinner in a little while.
Thanks, Aunt Martha.
Go wash that paint off your face before you come to the table.
So Cheryl starts settling in her room. The music is nonstop, but there's very little dialogue.
On her
through
way up,
this
I believe
part.
she passes an upstairs payphone. You don't even see a payphone anymore anywhere.
Yeah,
There's
that I
actually
didn't
one on the
notice.
second floor. I was
It's
like,
one
holy
of
shit.
the
There's a
places too where there's no bathroom in your room.
yeah,
shared bathroom
shared bathrooms and
for the
payphones
floor.
on every floor.
Small sink in the corner of the room.
Ah, the good old days.
Classy joint.
So she's getting settled in her room, and there's like some weird creaking noises. You know, like somebody's
inter-creaking noise here.
So this is where it was trying to go horror, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, just little brief, like small elements of mini genres.
And then this next scene, they got the priest dude is talking to Judy's boyfriend, who's looking to get that wallet back.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest guy's like, maybe I have some information, but you're gonna have to come to my room. This guy, he's like a bit of a what do you say, a pederast, perhaps?
Yeah, I believe that's a word. Yeah.
Don't forget, room 319. 3 minutes. I'll just slip into something, make myself more comfy.
He's trying to seduce this young man.
P-E-R-A-S-T. Wait, the guy comes there first. Did you say the guy?
Yeah, Jeff. Judy's boy. The guy.
Oh, Judy's boyfriend.
The guy who's the movie opens on his ass.
And that's the man with the lion
Yeah,
mane. He's got the
yeah.
golden mane. That's where he gets the lion mane. That's where that comes from. But we're about to get into some one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. One of my favorite scenes in any movie.
Yeah. So this guy, he's ends up. He's not in this film for very long. This is like the fourth, fifth scene.
Yeah, this is about 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in.
Yes, of the 85-minute runtime.
So
At
he
least
goes-
it was short.
He goes wandering around the hotel looking for Cheryl, and like this next sequence is the equivalent of the Henrique's neck snapping scene in Commando, which is just a hilarious way of somebody dying.
Yes.
He's just walking down the hall, and out of nowhere, he just gets hit in the back of the neck with a machete.
What's funny, it's crazy because, the first chop is a flesh wound, and the second chop is a complete lop off.
Yeah.
Complete sever.
And after the first one, like, he has the presence of mind to, like, you see his hand go back and touch his neck, like he needs to make sure that he just got hit with something.
There's actually, and then he gets his head
Then he
lopped off.
looks at his hands, and his hands are, like, all shaking.
I don't know how we
1
got this
second.
next one, but the terrorist group Boko Haram, they linked up with Dahmer's family. Quinn Dahmer, I believe, was his uncle, and they wanted to give him the Big Dom Award for the Two Chop Head Popov Award of 1972, the Decapitation of the Year Award from Boko Haram and Dahmer Incorporated. They have nothing to promote, though. They just wanted to get that award in there, so we had to give it to them. Okay, back to you guys.
As my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
And why in 70s movie is the blood paint? Like, it looks
Yeah.
like red paint.
Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't have much money for it,
And the special effects are horrible. The gore is like
They leave it to your
Ketchup was
imagination.
better. Like, just straight up ketchup would be better.
Just break a ketchup bottle.
Yeah, just pull out some Heinz and...
Yeah.
when he gets decapitated, you can tell it's a total fake head, like some
It's horrible.
kid made or something.
And then the flames just come up.
Yeah, and then there's that paint shoots out of his neck hole, and it's
It is, it's poor.
That's
but it's,
right.
then it immediately cuts to the legs dangling in that incinerator.
I think they're almost intentionally going for like a comic.
Oh,
aspect
yeah.
there. Yeah. It says
Because the death scene from the first neck chop to the incineration, it's 6 seconds. That whole sequence is 6 seconds.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
that is good. That's good stuff. It depends on how you look at it. Donner's looking at it like, fuck this movie. I wasted my money on this.
Rough.
I gotta drive up to
Yeah,
the
that's a
rain and
whole
talk
nother
about it.
story. It was hard to acquire.
So then, as soon as that's
to
done, is
watch
that
the
dinner
film.
time with the grandma and whatever she is? Or on?
That's coming up.
Oh.
There's a real quick scene right before that where Cheryl's peeking out of her door peephole. Somebody walks by. That's room 223. Again here, the music is persistent where there's no dialogue. She goes to draw herself a bath in a nasty-looking tub. And then there's some dude tugging on the door.
God damn this bathroom. There's always somebody in here when I want to take a piss.
But he keeps tugging on it,
Yeah. And then she abandons the idea of taking a bath and goes back to her room. And that's Martha tells her it's time for dinner. Where it looks like they're down at the dinner table. It looks like they're eating some Chef Boyardee.
Yeah. Isn't there some type of soup dish? It looks like, or is that later? Is that kind of a soup dish?
This looks like more of an Italian out of the can.
Well, I don't know why,
Ravioli,
but
maybe?
Grandma's Cabbage Kitchen down in Hartville, they wanted to give the Poop Soup Award to that, and now they have some fine rhubarb stew with cabbage mittens down there. You put if you go down there,
God,
if you go down there, you're gonna get a fine rhubarb stew. You're gonna get a fine rhubarb stew down there for $5.99, but you're gonna have to put on cabbage mittens first. That's why they call it Grandma's Cabbage Kitchen down there in Hartville. They're giving the Poop Soup Award to that scene there. I didn't think it was soup, but obviously Grandma thought differently. All right, back to you, Lynn.
Dinner time.
All right, I'll be ready in just a minute.
Okay, so they're at the dinner table, and Cheryl asks about Uncle Orville and their daughter. And Aunt Martha says she's in the Lord's hands. And she cracks a beer. It's in Olympia, which you don't see too much anymore.
They make it still?
No. So Cheryl's in bed reading an article in a magazine entitled, "No woman ever had a shock like mine the first time I saw him undressed." There's a bit of foreshadowing to the end of the picture.
Okay.
And then you hear somebody walking in the hallway.
Because doesn't Judy imply that Cheryl was a little uptight in the bedroom? Right?
Yeah. So somebody's standing outside Cheryl's door.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Aunt Martha?"
Aunt Martha?
And the person walks away real quick.
Oh, Cheryl actually gets herself her first award, or maybe that's her second. She had her cheek cut. The girls over at Brooks, Nook, and Warren, they really like that pink quilted housecoat number she's wearing. They give her the Coat of Hope. 50% off all leopard skin pillbox hats, suede coats, and mink boots.
That's a real granny number, that one.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Pink, what is that, the Coat of Hope? Is that what
It's
it
the
is?
Coat of Hope.
Oh, okay.
Brooke pointed that out. I was like, point out anything you see in this movie. She's like, look at what she's wearing. And I was like,
It's a total granny nightgown
yeah,
thing.
it's all quilted. She's like, is that quilted? I was like, I don't know. I don't know shit like that, but it looks like a coat of hope.
So the next scene, Cheryl's helping Aunt Martha on the cleaning rounds. Mr. Lovejoy is singing in his room.
Lovejoy.
And then we meet Mrs. Quigley, who apparently used to own the building. She
the
looks
old
like,
lady?
Yeah, the old lady. She looks like Bobby from Pentagram. It's kind of a weird reference, but. And then she goes, "Alice!" Like she thinks it's, she thinks Cheryl is Alice or something.
Alice!
Mrs. Quigley used to own this building.
And then she cackles and walks off. This whole movie is just about weird characters.
Yeah, it's not much. It's not congealed into some brilliant plot or anything.
It's like it's Bartel's forte is just weird people.
Yeah, it just wants to give you a weird feeling, just to make you feel uncomfortable. I think he was more trying to shock some people, especially back then. It was a lot different.
Weird
landscape.
people doing nothing, really.
They were up to some weird stuff. You know, you were shocked when that head got lopped off. When he got the head pop off award, you know, you were stirred to the core.
Earlier on in the film, Cheryl notices a guy coming out of the elevator, and now she sees him when they walk down the hall. I think she locks eyes with him or something.
Who's he?
His name's George. He's a photographer.
A professional photographer?
Certainly. Has his dark room in the basement.
He's kind of strange. Good looking, though.
You think so?
He does have a strange look.
He does.
Are you talking about George?
George.
Photographer. He has a strange look, but he's
He kind of looks like a
He's a
mix
bit of a Casanova.
between Bobby and Peter Brady and Greg. He looks like all the Brady boys and like a mix between like Ray Liotta from Goodfellas too.
He's
somehow.
like a Lothario, if you will. It's pretty shocking when he turns out to be a total
And the
pervert
Russian
weirdo.
lead girl from Cat People.
Yeah.
Natasha Kinski?
I don't know. Maybe.
So Cheryl's in her room getting ready for bed. She opens up her desk drawer and finds a manuscript / amateur romance novel entitled Desires in the Shadows. At this point, it's in her desk drawer.
Oh.
And then as she's reading it, you can hear people pounding in the background, having a real good sexy time. And then she's like halfway through it, and there's like a note in it that says, "How do you like it so far, Cheryl?" And again, someone is standing outside her door. This time, you can see the door handle turning, like somebody really wants to get in. So the next scene, Aunt Martha's going to a funeral. She enjoys funerals.
Yeah, she's all into funerals and being, Puritan or whatever you want to call it.
Paying her respects.
This is where you get to meet her pet rat, Whitey.
This is Whitey. Don't be afraid. He won't hurt you. Say hello to him.
Get him away from me!
What did you do that for? I told you he wouldn't hurt you.
Here the creep factor's really rising in Martha's case. She reveals that she doesn't know the person whose funeral she's attending, and she's taking her camera to add more pictures to her funeral album.
Why are you taking a camera?
I always take pictures for my album.
Pictures of a funeral?
I try to capture the exact moment when the spirit leaves the body.
Odd woman.
Yeah.
Odd behavior.
There aren't many songs, are there? Other than that guy just kind of... Are they original pieces?
Yeah, I think the score is just
all his original work.
It's pretty much non-stop through the whole movie.
Slifer and Little Fred Puerto down at Campochico Records weren't into that so much, and they just wanted to let you know to listen to the Pink Fairies. That's what they wanted to say. Kind of an odd message from them, but they didn't. They wanted there to be more actual pieces, known bands. So they wanted that to be said. Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Bizarre.
Okay.
Proceed.
So Martha leaves to go to the funeral and turns on some electric current, so if anybody tries to grab her keyring, they'll get zapped.
Yeah, and the rat happens to test it out.
Yeah.
Right? And that might be the end of Whitey, perhaps?
That's coming up. Yeah.
Oh,
But now, where'd he get to? Whitey! Whitey!
So Cheryl's doing some detective work to find out who left that manuscript, and the handwriting on the note, she compares it to Martha's handwriting and eliminates her as a suspect. Yeah, and at this point you see Whitey get zapped. He's up on that top shelf and gets electrified.
I'm sure it was her, and that's when that tips her off that it's been rigged.
And Cheryl uses a broomstick to get the keys down, and then picks up Whitey and throws him in the garbage disposal.
Yes.
Have they shown... Has Lovejoy tossed his bottle at a trash can?
Not yet. No.
Were garbage disposals more powerful in the 70s?
What was the reason for putting the rat in the garbage? Just to hide it?
Just to get rid of it?
Yeah.
My movie viewing partner asked that. Why put it in the garbage disposal? It seems a little bit fucked.
That seems like a Bartell idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Bartellian, if you will. Has anybody ever said Bartellian till now?
It's a hotel. I'm sure there's a dumpster or something outside.
Yeah,
right?
it seems like that'd just be gruesome. Like, I'd be afraid of just like rat parts flying everywhere.
It'd make more of a mess than there should be.
Yeah.
More weirdness to this
You didn't know.
film.
So Cheryl gets the keys and goes exploring. She opens room 224, which is supposedly the empty room next to hers, where all this infernal racket has been coming from. There's a picture of Alice on the wall.
Some boner boy cards.
Yeah, that's in
There
the
we
other
go.
guy's room.
Oh,
There's Alice I was mentioning earlier. I jumped the gun.
And that covers a peephole that's looking into her room, but it doesn't. When you look at it from the other room, it doesn't look like a peephole. It looks like a big hole in the wall that somebody's just looking in at her.
Yeah. You can fit a full head in it.
Yeah,
It doesn't make much sense.
it's a head hole.
It's a head hole, but from the other end, it's like, you know,
And then there's also
shrunken world.
a peephole looking into the bathroom. As she leaves the room, it cuts over to George, who's sitting in the hall. He kind of looks like he's just watching her, just watching her walk away. So, okay, now here Cheryl is going room to room pretending like she's got fresh towels for folks, but really with the purpose of seeing what's in their rooms. And this is where they show Lovejoy drunk as hell. He's walking out of the bathroom, and he tries to drop it in the garbage can, but it just breaks in the hall.
Lovejoy, is that the priest?
No, that's just the drunk, I think.
That's right.
That's
That's
Moon.
right.
Moon's
That's
the.
right.
Jimmy Nickerson got a hold of the show after that scene, actually, because he choked in the movie Tough Enough when he was playing Jackhammer Mamalud, and he felt that when that guy missed, that was a bit of a choke move on his part. He's always trying to put it on other people, and he calls that the Jack and Choke Award. He wanted us to give that to Lovejoy, because he choked, and when he lost to Art Long, played by Dennis Quaid in that movie. So they wanted us to issue that because he's just trying to shed that black cloud that's been over his head. So anytime he sees anybody choke in a movie, he wants to issue an award. So he feels a little better today. It goes out to you, Jimmy Nickerson. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. That goes out to Jim Nickerson. Jack Hammermouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision, and the winner is Jack Hammermouth.
So here she goes over to the Reverend's room, Reverend Moon. She's poking around. There's various religious articles and iconography. There's a candlelit shrine of Hieronymus Bosch's Garden of Earthly Delights.
Yes, I'm wearing his boots right now.
That's the full triptych now.
I'm wearing
there's
one
of
the pieces.
There's a life-size cardboard cutout of some pumped-up bodybuilder. It falls and scares her.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this scene, you can see somebody behind the curtain move and push that thing.
I didn't see
That might be one goof.
I didn't catch the goof.
And that's where she finds some of those gay stud poker playing cards.
I
naked
missed
guys.
it. There was somebody in the scene.
Well, you can see this curtain move, and then you see that bodybuilder cutout drop to the ground. And then she compares the note handwriting from Reverend Moon, and she eliminates him as the guy that had left her the note in the manuscript.
Not the Padre.
She goes back to her room to find a package with a note that says, "Wear this for me." And then she looks at herself in the mirror. And then it cuts over to the kitchen scene where she's putting the keys back just as Martha comes home from the funeral. Asks Cheryl if she's heard any noises. And she brought her some candy and a nice camembert for Whitey.
Whitey! Whitey!
Meanwhile,
Whitey's already ground up.
Yeah, he's gone. Meanwhile, George has taken the photo booth pics that were on Cheryl's mirror. Apparently she had some of her photos on her own mirror. And he's crafting up something, as the music would lead us to believe. He's blowing up a picture of her face in his dark room. This is 32 minutes into the film.
And we've only been on the beach place and the hotel, right? Only spots.
That's it.
A little bit of road work with some music, some street shots.
So a guy arrives at the hotel. It appears to be this Artie, the guy who was on the cardboard cutout.
He's the priest's gigolo or whatever, right?
He says he's there to fix Dr. Moon's refrigerator.
Do a bit of pipe work.
Reverend Moon's refrigerator. Yeah, do some pipe work.
Yeah. That guy's upset about something. He was gesturing hard.
Yeah, Cheryl says something about him. You must do a really good job of fixing his fridge.
Oh, yeah? He talks about me, huh? That's very interesting. I think I'll fix the Reverend's wagon while I'm at it.
Artie.
So Cheryl goes back to get the keys. She ends up in George's room. There's a bunch of weird shit in there. Weird black and white photography art on the walls. Mostly of naked ladies. There's a blow-up doll on the bed. For some reason, she tucks in the doll. I don't remember that. Finds a picture of Alice again.
Speaking of that doll, Rick's Fuck Shop said, "Fuck this film. It's a shit show. But if you come in for a free rub and tug you'll get a free rub and tug if you purchase one water-filled fuck doll down at Rick's Fuck Shop." Sorry. They didn't
Rick's Fuck? I thought they were out of business.
No. That's Jeff's shit show.
Ugh.
Rick's Fuck Shop still down there at the corner of McDougal and 3rd.
So there's she finds pictures. Cheryl finds pictures of Alice in the process of being
blow-up
killed,
doll's
presumably.
clear see-through with water in it, right?
Yes.
This movie's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man, it's filled with water, clear water. Doll with
it's a water-filled fuck doll. They got him down at Rick's Fuck Shop
with like a photograph
Free rub and
face
tuck
on
down
it,
there.
right? Was it Cheryl's face on the doll?
Not yet.
Who's was on it now? Alice? Was it Alice, maybe?
Just had a water-filled clear face.
Okay. I jumped the gun.
Jump the gun, actually, I was just looking that up. It comes from track and field, as you would might suspect. Jump the gun.
The video game or the Olympics?
The video game.
Oh.
Video game preceded the actual sport in real
So
life.
the pictures that Cheryl finds at this point of Alice being killed, those are actually the pictures that are in the intro, the opening credits. Some of those same.
Really?
Yeah, some of those same photos are in the shit that she's looking at.
Fancy.
Somebody did his homework.
Somebody
Yeah.
did. Somebody's seen this
Kinda
more
reminds me
than
of Linus
once.
Fitzsimmons, Linus the Peeler.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Yeah.
He's a good kid.
So Martha's calling out for Whitey, and Cheryl quickly leaves George's room as he emerges from a closet of sorts. He was hiding the whole time.
Odd kid.
And he has a strange gait and a bit of
Oh.
weird stiffness about him.
Kind of reminds me of Jeff Dahmer.
In ninth grade, in biology class, we had the usual dissection of fetal pigs, and I took the remains of that home and kept the skeleton.
So at this point, Judy shows up. And Martha's given her the same spiel about
Meet me.
having no vacancies.
Who are you?
Judy Adams. Cheryl may have mentioned me.
Judy's just says she's looking for Cheryl.
I'm disappointed in this scene where they must have just run out of money.
Yes.
Budget, because they go to her scene where she comes down into the what room? The
Yeah.
dark room.
Yeah, she mentions looking for her friend that was coming after Cheryl, excuse me. And Martha shows her the way to the dark room where she says,
As a matter of fact, she's working for a photographer who has his dark room downstairs in the cellar. She's probably down there right now.
And then she's off in the dark room and they don't even show it.
yeah, she's poking around down there and looking at a bunch of creepy photos. They show the blow up pictures of Cheryl's face here, which are pretty creepy.
Okay. See, I jumped
She knows
the gun.
something's up.
There's some more pictures of Alice.
I was hoping for a nice gory scene, something ridiculous, something campy, something off the wall, and it's just nothing.
There's a picture of, I think it must be Alice and the dude that got killed. And there's a picture of him, like, pounding her as she has his foot in her mouth.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
there's a couple
sexy.
foot fetish scenes.
And then the door creaks shut as Judy's looking around, and she's like,
Cheryl? Is that you? Cheryl?
Classic last words.
it's one of those where you assume she dies because
Yep.
at this point you don't see her from here on out. Okay, so here's another location. It's a locksmith where Cheryl's getting a copy of a key made.
Which key was this for?
Probably just maybe there's a master key around the hotel where she could get into a bunch of shit. I don't know.
Okay, because I thought I missed something. Like, is that a key for? What's the key for?
Yeah. And that's
Okay.
the guy who's making the key is Jeff, played by Stanley Livingston, who played Chip Douglas on My Three Sons
Was that
for 380 episodes.
the dad
No, this is the son, right?
or the son?
I never watched that show,
I mean, who's you talking?
He
Are you talking
played
about the dad or
Chip?
the-
but he must have been one of the three sons
Yeah.
because that was 1960 to 1972, which is actually the year this
So
picture
you're
was
talking
made.
about the dad in Private Parts.
No, in Private
No.
Parts, the kid that made the key, Jeff.
Jeff, actually, Eugene Levy's people reached out to us for him. They were kind enough. They did, though. They reached out to him to give him the Caterpillar Hey Now Eyebrow Award for the caterpillars on his head. They wanted to give him that award.
He did have some great eyebrows.
Yeah,
That one.
and they got some Mighty Wind lunch boxes available. We got them down here at the show.
I would love to see this town in the autumn. I think Crabville in autumn would look quite magnificent.
It's the first one.
Okay, so Judy's gone.
Good riddance.
Cheryl gets the key made by Jeff, and she claims to have no money to get the key made, to pay for the key. He says, "Oh, you can drop it off later," and she's like far out or whatever. I don't know. And then she's coming back, and she bumps into Reverend Moon on his way out.
So it's a key that we don't even know what she really needs for. And
It's a bit of a mystery.
She doesn't even have any money for it.
Yeah. So at this point, Reverend Moon is he's in a Rob Halford getup. He's got
All
like
the
a bunch
leather-
of leather and chains
leather and
on.
chainage, yeah.
And he's got like a bruised face because that already fixed his wagon for talking about him, I guess.
True. But he was also pleasured and gave some pleasure as well.
Sinister
Have
man.
we talked about Jeff's dad yet?
That's Reverend Moon. There's just some weird small talk between him and Cheryl.
Has Jeff's dad been introduced?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, well, yes, actually. He's, yeah, I think I might have some information on him. The guy that, he was
See,
actually...
that's what I was asking.
He was something. He was something.
Charles Wolfe played Jeff's dad. He didn't have any lines there in the key shop when she's getting the key made.
Okay.
But he appeared in Puff the Magic Dragon, 1978.
That's a good one.
Mr. Mom, 1983.
Classic.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, 1988. That's Charles Wolfe.
Huh.
I believe he had some other credits previous to that, but yeah.
On behalf of
Those are a couple good ones
On
on
behalf
the
of the Sydney
notches
Lassick
on the
Estate, Sydney Lassick Estate and Legacy, they wanted to award the dad the first Sydney Lassick doppelganger for the drunk, dumb, deaf, blind, and fucked. They wanted to give that to him because that's what they want. I'm just reading what I'm told.
Who was sponsoring that?
That would be the Sydney Lassick Estate and Legacy. I don't know. It's kind of a strange name, but it was for being the Sydney Lassick lookalike doppelganger.
Okay, he does have a bit of a Lassick vibe.
Just a little bit. That's why it's deaf, dumb, and fucked and blind.
Who's Sydney Lassick?
It's the doppelganger for the drunk, dumb, deaf, blind, and fucked.
He's the guy who played Gopher in Deep Cover.
Yeah, we're trying to. I'm trying to keep a running line. I want to
Also
keep him in.
played.
I try to work him in anywhere.
He's
I
in
can.
Cuckoo's Nest too.
We saw a lookalike of him at the Tribe game.
Charlie Cheswick.
Charlie Cheswick Award right there. So yeah, that goes out to the dad, Sydney Lassick Estate and Legacy.
Where the hell were we here?
Well, if you're gonna take a second, I might as well get one of these other ones out.
Get
It's
'em
hard
in.
time for Jimmy down there at Hounds Hot Dogs in Brook Park. Hand jobs for $25 and a free coney with that. It's in Brook Park. Hounds Hot Dogs. It's actually in the parking lot of. It's like a Mark's or something. It's Jimmy. Ask for Jimmy. $25. I think that's all I got.
Okay, so here Cheryl's with Martha at the dinner table. Martha again is drinking Olympia beer and putting together some of her funeral scrapbook, talking about
At certain funerals, you can actually feel the liberation of a spirit from the prison where it's been a captive.
and explains her creepy philosophy on life and death and the afterlife. And there's a really good monologue here, actually. The writing's pretty good at this point. But then she gets cut off, and the phone rings, and it's Jeff, the key guy, inviting Cheryl to a rock concert in MacArthur Park.
Well, what time does it start?
About 8:30, I think. Hey, they got some real great rock groups. I could pick you up around
Think it's the
7:30, and
Stones?
then later we could grab some food or something.
1972.
Yeah, sure, that sounds
they're
all right.
big.
He was a nerd.
So maybe talking like who would have started in 70.
It was probably like Slade or something.
Slade. That's a good guess.
But Cheryl, she agrees to the date, and
Could have been Kiss.
Aunt Martha seems to not approve.
She's a bit of a, she's straight-laced. She doesn't like anything. She doesn't want her to be up to anything.
Yeah.
She wants her to still be 10, basically.
Norma Bates.
Oh, child.
What is it, Aunt Martha?
I'm afraid you're going to turn out like all the other women in this family.
This next scene, a little bit weird, doesn't make any sense. Cheryl gets back to her room, and there's a key for room 316 attached to her door.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of broken ideas that don't ever come back.
And
a lot of broken promises.
Room 316 has that old lady that looks like the guy from Pentagram. That's her room.
Is that when they show her?
Yeah, like
if
she
they
goes.
show her, we got a major award.
She's
for
in.
that.
She's all in the sunglasses, all greased up.
Bud Umchie. Bud Umchie is the drummer kid down at Pet Supplies. He wanted to present that old lady with the best bald, lubed-up indoor sunbathing giant jerboa award. 2 for 1 on yesterday's news cat litter when you purchase any angelfish down there. Okay. Just wanted to get that in for her. That was the best bald, lubed-up indoor sunbathing giant jerboa award.
We'd like to thank all of our sponsors. And
Thank all of our sponsors here at Devil's Broth Film Faction. We take
Thank
that very seriously. And the more the merrier. We can use a few more, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that line where she walks in there and the old lady thinks that it's Alice. And Cheryl says Alice doesn't live here anymore. Which is
That was a classic
title
movie.
of Scorsese's '74 picture.
Oh wow!
I was wondering if it was before
So they
or
lifted
after.
that possibly.
But that was probably a book.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's probably something already.
Yeah, I think it was.
But like Scorsese, he
Went
did some
on to
stuff
be-
for Corman too. So like, there might have been some kind of like.
But it almost they really like muscled that line in. It seemed big.
yeah.
Like Alice doesn't live. It was a big part. Big line.
Scorsese did Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore?
Mm-hmm. Was that Christopherson and Ellen Burstyn?
Badumchi.
Went on. I like the TV show better.
So I just didn't understand this scene. Why did somebody obviously left the key to that old lady's room, and then she went to that old lady's room? It has nothing to do with
Maybe
anything.
it was just the old lady being freaky. They wanted to add in. The
Could
fact
be.
that she's just freaky. And it was just like something that never happened. It was just a loose end. Had they gone to the porn store yet?
Not yet. So at this point, George is in his room unpacking a blow-up doll. I don't know how many he has, but the way he unpacks it looks like he's done it a few times before.
Clear.
He's pro. He's pro.
He fills it up with water and starts to inflate it. And he's cutting out a picture of Cheryl's face. And then he takes out a giant syringe. And then it cuts to Martha knocking on Mr. Lovejoy's door. There's no answer.
But the water fills up with blood in the doll.
That's coming up later.
That's when he shoots it. He should put a syringe in it. Whatever he's like. That's how he gets off.
He just shows the syringe.
That's an award.
That scene comes up later.
And that's an award.
So Martha's knocking on Lovejoy's door. I guess they have some handiwork to do in there.
Of course.
And Cheryl's trying to get noticed. She's trying to like be all cute, and she's pretty cute.
She is.
Young lady.
Petite. She's a little feminine, petite, little tangy-wangy.
They open up Lovejoy's door, and he's passed out on the floor.
I liked her better with the paint on her face.
The
She's a
painted
bit
whore look.
Yeah.
She just needs a little bit more weight, if I may be sexist. No, she just seems a little malnourished.
So in this scene where they're doing that handiwork or whatever in Lovejoy's room is when Cheryl looks out the window and sees George walking across the street, and that's when she runs down and follows him.
Oh yeah.
The guy walks so weird.
He's got a very. It seems like really affected. He just seems like there's a lot. He seems really mentally unstable the way he walks.
Right.
So she follows him into an adult bookstore. You get a close up of a magazine called Prying Eyes, and it looks exactly like Alice and the dude who are getting murdered, like in those other pictures. It's got the same cover.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. What I was noticing more were how many just straight porn stashes they had in there. It was 4 out of 8. I took numbers on that. 4 out of 8 bowling stashes.
It is Movember right now.
Is
and
it?
it
Well,
was
that's good
1972.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're onto something there. Okay. See, that's what he would do. He learned something there. You're going to learn. You're going to get learned.
So all those horny guys in there are giving her the eye. And then George leaves without seeing her. She continues following him on the street. There's classic 70s street music. A lot of funky bass and horns. Let's see. Friedhofer. Now it's nighttime. She's across the street from George, who's coming out of a wig shop. She's gnawing on a fudge sickle.
I haven't had one of those in a long time. They're tasty.
Oh, here's a payphone scene. There's a guy telling his old lady on the payphone that he was at the racetrack and not getting laid.
Oh, that's George, right?
No, some other just random guy.
Oh.
And then George sits down on a bench next to some guy who like leans in and puts his arm around him. This guy's got some pretty funny lines.
Goddamn hippies are taking over this country. It's shameful. Ain't got no morals at all.
Hippies are taking over the country.
Oh, yeah, and they show some hippies.
Yeah.
Like a flag.
Yeah, they show like a
flag
little
pants.
hippie chick get picked up by these dudes.
Hey, I bet you like a little bit of that yourself, huh? Right?
And then George, he's wearing sunglasses at that point. And he like takes them off and just looks at the guy real weird.
Goddamn weirdos are taking over this country.
And it seems like they might head into the park. This could be Bartell moment.
So let's think about that.
This is the point where George makes a call to Martha. He's asking for Cheryl. And he doesn't know that at that point she's actually following him. And then he goes to the park where this is where Bartell pops out from behind the tree.
With a cameo.
There
He's
we go.
wearing a nice camping robe.
I was looking for him.
Yeah. He's either pissing or pulling his pud. One or the other.
He's smacking somebody in the head.
He's
with
either
his
Louis
gopher.
C.K.ing, or is that what we call it now? Or
It's the land of 1,000
taking a
gophers out
leak.
there.
He's up to no good. George Takei called that the rambles.
Yeah, he was getting
That's
the
back
rambles.
in the
Rambling and fucking.
back in the woods at a private parks.
Laying some pipe back there. But yeah, that was the Bartel moment. Because I saw he had made a cameo, and I thought that was him. I thought he was Lovejoy at first, but then I saw him in that scene, and I was like, no, that's Paul Bartel. Both had horseshoes, classic horseshoes.
Does he cameo Death Race?
I think so. I have to think about it. Can't remember quite. He's all through. He's in Eating Raoul. He's the main guy. That was later. So I think he was more just camera shy.
He was a bit of a player coach in that one.
Yeah. Okay, so now where do they go after that? Now they're gonna head back to the hotel.
So George is, he leaves the park after he takes some photos of some naked folks on a blanket in the park, which would have been a good, like early '70s in L.A. Just going around and taking pictures of naked people.
Too much for the man.
So they return to the hotel, and Martha tells George to leave that child alone, meaning Cheryl. She's kind of trying to. She says she's trying to protect him.
Protect him, yeah. So you figure she was trying to protect her.
I think these are George's, like, sort of his first dialogue. He says he's
He
going
doesn't
to
have much.
pieces.
I think he said something on the phone, on the payphone.
Yeah,
He had one
that
line.
might have been his first line.
I
yeah.
thought he had one line before that.
So you got a sponsor for your next Wildgy shoot?
Yeah. Hold on a second. We'll work him in.
This one.
It's Tom's Mop Shop.
So at this point, like, I think maybe they've talked. I mean, Cheryl and George maybe have had 2 conversations, just little small talk, and Martha's telling him to stay away from Cheryl, and he's like, "Did it ever occur to you that she might love me?" Like they have.
Yeah, they're already in love. Yeah, it's like some Shakespearean shit.
They've spoken like 2 times in the movie.
It was love at first sight, Romeo and Juliet style. They're fucking water doll.
Mm-hmm. So Cheryl
Kid
returns.
needs a healthy relationship.
Cheryl returns to her room to find a sexy outfit laid out on the bed, with a note that says, "You'd drive me crazy if you'd let me see you with these things on." And then it cuts to her in like a Lone Ranger mask, running a bubble bath.
And then she heads down to get her fuck on.
Yeah, there's a little nude scene there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Isn't it from the Peeping Tom's point of view?
Yeah, and then George is watching her
course.
taking a bath, and she's really getting he's getting worked up watching her. And she
Bubble
puts
bath.
on her nightie and goes back to her room, smiling, giggling.
Just makes a little sense because he looks like a guy that doesn't need to do all this in order to get a little bit of that. But that's how he gets
Then it
off.
cuts over to him doing some weird shit.
Is this when he's
He's got the water-inflated doll with Cheryl's face attached to the head.
Crazy.
The picture of her face looks weird. It's pretty creepy. Creepy music plays over this scene. It's quite disturbing.
I think he inflates the doll with water.
It's already inflated.
And
He's
then
just caressing it.
And he draws blood from himself.
That's right.
And he injects it into the vaginal region. Oh, it's probably an asexual doll.
Yep, I have vag hole here. He jams it into the doll's vag hole.
And squirts his blood through the water, and you can see it. And the old men from the old steam room men down at the Make a Fetish Foundation, they wanted to give that the best fetish of 72. The best fetish of 1972.
Who
The
was
old
that?
steam room men.
Oh.
Down at the Make a Fetish Foundation. Sorry, I gotta work these in here. Even they pay their fucking dues.
Okay, so after he draws his own blood and jams it into the make like he's ejaculating into this water doll. It fills up with blood, and then he has like a mock orgasm. And at this point, you can see the face. The picture on the doll is actually a different face. It's more of like
another goof.
It's more of like
You were watching this close. You caught goofs.
it's like cartoonishly a terrified Cheryl.
Oh, okay.
The picture is actually like her mouth is a bit more agape and looks frightened, as if they have given life to the doll.
Switched it up.
I believe he peels. Doesn't he? Does he peel the glove off of it in the scene?
Yes.
Quiet Bob's Bar and Grill wants to give the Good Squirrel Award to him for that because they give it to whoever makes the best face in a movie. They give the Good Squirrel Award for George when he peels the glove off. He makes a crazy face. You must see the movie just to see the face. And down at Quiet Bob's Bar and Grill, they wanted to let you know that the jukebox is fixed. It's up and running now. That's down there at 130th and Bagley. Somewhere around there.
A lot of people will be happy to hear that news. Jukebox is up and running, y'all.
Yep.
So Martha and Cheryl are taking out the garbage at this point, and Martha takes the lid off of one of the cans to find this deflated, bloody, blow-up doll.
That's nasty. I don't know why. That's like nothing, but it made me sick.
And the Cheryl face is still attached, so she throws some garbage over it to cover it so Cheryl won't see it.
If I hear Cheryl one more fucking time.
And at this point, Martha
Cheryl!
tells Cheryl that she's got to get the hell out of here.
we got to do a Cheryl count.
She says, "Don't even talk to George." And the next scene is...
she says, "Fine, I will leave."
Yeah.
She calls her on that. She's gonna leave. Okay.
So George calls Cheryl in this next scene.
Oh, and this is when they're alone, and then he try to shoot her up.
Yeah. He's like, she's becoming attracted to him because like it seems like she's so like an innocent young lady, and she says he's the only one that treats her like she's not a little girl. And then she offers to pose for him, and I think he just hangs up. I don't think they're. But Jeff picks up Cheryl at this point for the rock concert.
Oh shit!
She's wearing some. She's all hoard up with some
Looks good.
green.
I like her outfit.
Green and pink, some clown makeup. She's real hoard up. Got some fishnets on, maybe some boots.
Her white boots are amazing. I love the outfit. It's crazy looking.
So the date gets cut off pretty quickly. They're walking along.
She obviously has an inner urge to see George. She wants to cut this off because he doesn't really do much wrong at all, and she just cuts the date off.
I think
she's like, "Fuck you," basically. So many.
Yeah, she seems preoccupied and perturbed.
Yeah, she wants George's nutsack in her mouth. If I might, she wants him to drag his gob all over her snail trail.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. So now she's heading back to him. She's gonna.
Right. They're on the date with Jeff. Actually, asks about his old friend Alice and if anybody at the hotel might know where she is. Cheryl snaps at him and
she gets a little jealous.
Gets out of there. So, and then they show George on a bridge who's been watching all this transpire, and he's wearing sunglasses again. Kind of looks like
classic George.
Kind of looks like Jeff Lynne from Yellow at this point.
He's just classic George
so
at this point.
Cheryl returns to the hotel to find Martha in her room. Says there's a bus leaving in the morning for Cleveland, and you best be on it.
Bus ride to Cleveland.
Yeah, Jeff shows up in the lobby. Nobody's there when he rings the bell, so he heads upstairs. George is in his room playing a cassette that's marked Alice. You hear the tape playing out a scene where she's posing for George, and then you hear her screaming and, "What are you doing with that needle?" And then George is like, "Please let me."
Please.
And then there's screams. And as like the tape is playing, Jeff walks by and hears it and thinks it's an actual. It's not a tape, but it's somebody's in the room getting.
Yeah,
he's
somebody
getting
dreaming.
stabbed.
He's dying to inject his blood into someone.
So Jeff like breaks in and it's like just takes in all the horrors of George's lair. And then George whacks him across the forehead with a giant bottle.
Right on the, it almost bounced off one of his caterpillar brows.
He does have great eyebrows.
They're nice. He won the first award for that.
Then it cuts to George dragging Jeff's body through the halls down to the dark room. At this point, Cheryl's knocking on George's door.
Sorry. That's later. That comes later. I love that line. Hey, that's my kid!
I think that's Charles Wolfe.
Sorry, that was too loud. Yeah, he was the one who got the Sidney Lassick Doppelganger Award for the blind deaf.
So at this point, Cheryl walks into George's room and sees her face is on that blow up doll.
Likeness. Yeah. And
Now this must be another blow up doll because that other one
Yeah,
got
blood
thrown
one.
away.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy must have a ton of just backup blow up dolls, right?
Yeah, that's why he just orders the
That's
clear
his
ones.
thing. That's why he got the.
He just gets the clear
Just
ones.
give me a stock, give me a dozen of the clears,
Well,
and I'll put the face on.
I think the old steam room men were onto something down
We'll
at the
keep 'em
Fetish
coming.
Foundation when they gave him Best Fetish in 1972.
For
that fetish.
Clear
For
water
clear
dolls.
fuck dolls that
Her
are
walking,
water fillable.
Cheryl walking in and finding like a blow up doll with her face on it. She's like flattered. She's not creeped out at all. She loves it.
She wants him so badly that, and nothing's gonna turn her away.
She's
not
been-
even a fuck doll with her face on it and blood inside of it.
She's been shy and timid before, but a fuck doll with my face. Let's do this.
Now I'm in. I must be in.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, if she would have just run there, the inevitable conclusion would not have taken place. But it's not quite what you think. It's a bit of a twist. Okay, and the ending,
I haven't
the
read
ending
or
completely
seen the
turned
movies.
over
Are
into
we describing the 50 Shades of Grey plot? Did they rip off Cheryl?
Oh,
they did. They ripped off everything.
I
in
haven't
this
seen
movie.
those either.
This movie's
Maybe
been.
they did.
I've heard
this
those
movie's
films
been
are
raped.
terrific.
The ideas in this movie have been raped and pillaged for decades.
So at this
maybe
point, Cheryl takes it upon herself to also like take part in these little sexy games. She makes a recording about how she's leaving tomorrow. They show George in his room playing this cassette that she made, and she's proposing that he takes some pictures. And
now
as he's listening to the tape, she pops up in the bed. She's actually in the bed where the doll was.
She's ready to party.
So there's real strange dialogue here. It's really awkward. Like the way he talks he just sounds, it's weird. I mean, this is probably the reason why he was never in another movie.
Yeah, he's not good.
He's like trying to, he's like unnatural and robotic. He starts taking pictures and she's like looking for direction and he's like, try different poses.
Try different poses. Yeah, I think they just went with him just being so bad that they realized they could also turn that into something being just super creepy. It comes off pretty creepy, but he is pretty bad too.
So then he comes back with the syringe. Like, he
he
walks
wants-
off and comes back with the syringe, and she's like, "What's that stuff?" "Please, I have to."
Yeah, no emotion. He's
He
just
wants
like,
to
please take it. Please.
He's very laconic. if
Chase
you will.
some other posers. Yes, listless, lightless.
So she's screaming, and Martha wakes up. George is going after her with the, "Please, it will be all right." And then Cheryl pulls down a heavy-ass lighting rig and, like, blasts him in the head. And some hot sauce comes out. Then Martha runs in. Cheryl says, "He tried to rape me." And then she checks on George and says he couldn't rape anyone. And then she opens his blouse to reveal Titties.
A titty.
Down at Bruce Jenner Wheaties fan club, Glen Couth, Virginia. They wanted to reach out right here and give him the Schman Moobs Award. Schman Moobs. Because we don't really know if it's a she, man, boobs, man, whatever. But Schman Moobs Award goes to George. Okay.
I had to rewind it. I wasn't sure what I just saw. I was like, was that
Yeah, those
a
were
tit- was
those
that
were
a titty? Like,
those
what,
were
what the hell is just
those
going
were
on?
Schman Moobs.
I remember in some previous Devil's Broth episodes, you made mentioned about some fried eggs.
Those were fried egg titties.
Okay.
His were a little bit lumpier. They
It
looked.
doesn't show both. It only shows one, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Barely shows one.
It barely shows one, but I mean, did you see the knockers on him? I could go for him. Oh, sorry, that comes later. They're decent Schman moves, but then look at the jugs on this guy.
So
the drugs?
At this point, Martha's not even upset. She says his spirit is free of that body at last, and she invites Cheryl to stay and take his place as her new son. Cheryl seems like she doesn't want to do that.
So is it possible that...
So Martha pulls out a machete
and tries to kill her. And then they cut off that scene, so you don't really know what happened. But it looks as if Cheryl's about to be killed. And is there... I just thought of this, because I didn't really put any deep thought into this movie, but is there a chance that George is Alice?
Could be.
Because they said the girl could be the man.
Oh, no, because actually at that scene... Martha references that Alice didn't feel a thing.
Oh.
So, like, her and George were in on it, most likely.
Okay. That'd have been a cool twist if they would have somehow made George be Alice. Because they do say that she could turn into a man.
So the cops, at this point, the cops show up with the locksmith, Jeff's dad, who's looking for his boy.
That's the Sydney last.
And you hear some noises from the basement. They go down to check it out.
Yeah, but the cop, it was half-assed cop
Hey,
work.
that's my kid! I love that part.
That sounds like 70s.
He looks like he's trying to do.
Hey, that's my kid!
He sounds like he's trying to do a Jerry Lewis impression or something.
It's bad. Yeah, it's like so ridiculous. He seems just like a bad actor in that scene.
Fishing hat.
It's like kind of a cartoonish scene. He's like, show the man
Like
how
he
you
looked
can
like he
walk.
Just walked into the closet, picked out some fake clothes, and overacted.
He's a locksmith. He's wearing his fishing
And then he
cap.
says, once we get out of here, I'll buy you a piece. Like he's going to get his kid a whore.
I like the kid's shirt.
I'll buy
He's
you
got
a
a cool
piece.
70s shirt on.
And then they zoom in on, they show Judy's corpse there. They zoom in on that. It has a Cheryl face on her head. And then Jeff says he's not leaving until he finds out what happens to Cheryl. And then he tells the cop that she was staying somewhere on the 3rd floor. And then the cop says, come on, we'll find it.
We'll find
it.
And then that old lady's walking down the hall.
And Judy was there, right?
Yeah, downstairs they show her corpse. Then they're upstairs looking for Cheryl. And the cops...
Cheryl.
The old lady asks the cop if they've seen Alice.
Oh, yeah.
And then the cop says, who's Alice, your dentist? Because she's got like she's got all her teeth are all fucked
mangled. And she's like, you probably don't want to go in at this hour. George is probably jerking off. Something like that.
That's another great line.
Yeah, there are some like classic lines out of
He's
nowhere.
probably still jerking off.
And then they go in, and the cops themselves come up with some completely
Yeah.
off-the-wall lines.
This is like...
no one would ever say... Like, no cop would ever say this.
This is where the whole movie turns for, like... It's completely not serious at all.
Yeah, it's like, hey... This
like,
whole
once
movie
the
we
cops
watched-
come in, it's like a...
Yeah,
it's like a cartoon.
slapstick time. Yeah, they want the first cops like, hey... Look
Look
at
at the jugs on this guy.
Well, the one guy calls him a guy, and then the other one's like, look at the knockers. With knockers like this, I could go for it.
Right.
So one
yeah,
calls him a guy, one
God.
calls him a girl, and they both are like into it.
The black cop kind of reminds me of the black cop in Commando that goes, "You want to see me kick some ass?"
Yeah, the black cop.
Yeah, with knockers like that, I could go for this guy myself.
The Schman moves. So basically, the movie went from man-ass to
Well,
Schman
we already
moves.
said how awful these boobs are.
So they find George. They find Martha, her blood-drenched corpse.
Excuse me.
Nice.
It's just chilly. I had 3 freaking bowls.
Everybody leaves and goes down the elevator and exits the building. And then Jeff comes back to the front desk as Cheryl comes down the stairs. And she's reciting that same no vacancies spiel that Aunt Martha had.
There's a really cool effect with this with the film.
Yeah, kind of like.
I like that part. Was like really evil. I was like, whoa.
It kind of like.
If they could have only
she kind of transforms into Martha.
Martha.
And it's like perfectly synced.
It's perfect. The beginning and
it's
end
Martha's
are perfect.
voice.
If they could only have nailed the hour and a half
Everything
in between.
Everything in between.
It's a masterpiece. The bookends are masterworks.
So that speech is synced up with Martha's voice, and then the color fades to blood red as the closing credits roll. That's the end of Private Parts. The alternate
Thank
title
God.
was Blood Relations.
Down at Uncle Joe's Bar and Grill, they said karaoke from Sunday to Friday. And once again, Quiet Bob's Bar and Grill said the jukebox is up and running. Hound's Hot Dog says best counties Northeast Ohio. That's down there at 130th and Bagley. Thanks. Okay, we got all our sponsors out of the way.
So, what did you boys think of the film?
Donger, go ahead.
Why don't we start with you, Donger?
Okay, we'll get mine out of the
D-Lo
way.
Clemens.
We have done ratings on other films, so I will just say 0.4.
Oh, it's like a Blue Tursky. Oh, okay.
This is way down there for you, huh?
Under a half star. It was rough. It was hard to acquire.
Did you get any chuckles at all?
The first head lop.
Yeah, that's a quick one. That's like a commando death.
The rest of it's just a mess. It's a mess.
Well, yeah, if you're, my score's low if you're judging it on that scale.
Some cult classics, when you watch them way later, they're just no good. When do you think this became a cult classic? Early?
1973.
Like,
I'm just kidding.
I think I think another studio actually bought it in like 2005 and put it on DVD for the first time.
And just everything Corman or Bartel, anything they're involved with is just
what's that
automatic.
one? Better Off Dead, I think, is the movie with
John Cusack. Yeah,
that one slipped through the cracks, and I watched it way later, and it was supposed to be a cult classic. Awful.
Better Off Dead. I watched
I
that
love
back
it.
in the day. I watched that back in the day.
I love it.
I missed that somehow.
There's a scene where that fat guy dances in that. That fat guy dances in that movie and like plops down. That's like.
I just see
That was the
nothing
one
that
stop
people
plop
would
award for the
latch
guys down
onto.
at Tom's Meat Shop mops. Their hot mops are always up. Their hot mops are always up and ready to get the jizz. That's 5 for 1.
I'd see nothing to latch onto, and it was rough. I go 0.4.
I'm at a 6.5. I thought there were some pretty hilarious moments in the movie. It's by no means a great movie.
Well, man.
It's not. I don't think it's as bad as you say it is, but
no.
Well,
I can't
all have
see
different
anybody
opinions.
reading that script and then giving their money and be like,
60
yeah,
G's.
Let's
Well,
do this.
It's just that they're making a totally different angle.
But it is kind of
Dark.
like if you like eating Raoul and Death Race.
It's for a specific taste.
This one's kind of like more of a. I mean, I guess whatever marketing they did was to be a horror film. And the music is great. The music is like top-notch, professional. It's really a good score.
70s.
I mean, you could substitute in like music that's not as good as this, and you might only give it a 0.1. But the music probably bumped it up to a 0.4 for you.
Like for 72, it was well done movie-wise.
Yeah.
But not so much the movie itself. Rough. Brad?
Perfect 10 on that.
What's his
No, I'm
name
just
now?
kidding.
Whoa.
Brad.
Serpico
Chipmunky
Land.
10. No, I'd give it like somewhere in the 7s regions.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not judging on the scale of like, is this plot congealed? Are these actors great? Is this, I just look at it for just the darkness, the weirdness, the funny, the laughs, and whatever want to watch a second time, things like that.
There's a lot of
like entertained, things like that.
I saw a lot of
is this Jaws? Is this some great movie? It's definitely not a good.
There's certainly a lot of just weird,
movie.
uncomfortable, unsettling scenes.
Yeah, like that.
Weird characters, weird.
Yeah.
Like some of the dialogue's cool, but
there's so many unique things. There's so many weird, unique things. So that's why I just give it points for just being so bizarre.
But it's not even like an Ed Wood movie, like Planet 9. Or...
I thought we weren't arguing. This is just opinion time. You're arguing with my opinion. That's not allowed. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But no, I just.
That argument was brought to you by Criswell.
Criswell's Crisps. Criswell's Crisps, where you can get all about a 6-pack.
Okay, that segment's over.
Yeah, I don't give it super high marks.
That 0.4 is really going to bring the average down on this. The average rating.
If you want my exact one, I'll give like a 7.3.
Well,
7.3.
It might take over. When somebody asks me what's the worst movie you've ever seen, my answer always was, "Dude, where's my car?"
How dare you?
I was trying to think of,
but like
because earlier today when you texted me and said this is probably the worst movie you've seen, like I was trying to think of the worst movie I've seen.
Mine is "Dude, where's my car?"
If we were, that movie's like has nothing. Like,
if we weren't doing this, I was done after 5. I was done quick.
I think I walked out on a Costner movie called The War when I was younger, but I don't.
Is that Elijah Wood?
I don't know who was in it, but I remember I never walk out on movies and I'm like,
I
this
walked
is
out
garbage.
on Screwed in the year 2001 or 2.
Is that Norm Macdonald?
Yeah, I went with Matt, so we were out in 10 minutes. There were like 3 or 4 horrible jokes. We just looked at each other and he's like, "You want to go?" I was like, "Let's get out of here." 10 minutes, walk out. Walked over and watched Gladiator. So whatever year that was.
So it was rough. I showed up somewhere and "Dude, where's my car?" was on. So I just we finished it. Like, okay, that's the worst movie I ever saw. This is up there. That's up there. But it has the same name as
Natural Born Killers.
It has the same name as another movie, Private Parts. That's good. So I guess I'll stick with "Dude, where's my car?" is the worst.
That's
movie.
the tiebreaker. It's only not the last because of the second Private Parts.
Because if somebody asks me that and I say that, they'll think Stern. They'll think Stern, and that movie's good.
I just instantly like all the weird stuff. I just like the weird, dark, crazy shit. It's just so bizarre and weird and odd. You know, like so many bad movies you can watch now. It's just like nothing noteworthy. Nothing happens.
All right, if you're
I
going
like
for that, it's not that.
The George character is like so weird that you're almost not surprised when they show his tits at the end.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
I wasn't surprised either. You can barely tell their tit. I mean, it looks like it could be man tits. I mean,
I wasn't sure. I swear.
Why didn't they just show
rewound it?
They should have shown like a really nice C-cup tit.
I don't think I mentioned that George was played by John Ventantonio. His film debut and only appearance in a film.
Wow.
So it was a really guy that wasn't a tit for his tit?
I don't know. He was on, he had 4 other credits on really obscure TV programs. Hawkins.
It's a man.
A program based on a West Virginia attorney played by Jimmy Stewart. Co-starred Strother Martin.
I know him.
From our last episode, episode 6, Slapshot. The only other known show he appeared on was something called Switch.
Something called With Nail and I. So I just wanted to get that out there. Do you have candies?
Yeah, help yourself. Anyways, that's our 7th episode.
Next one.
S2F1.
Donger gets to pick the next
I was about
one.
to say Donger might get to pick the next one since he was Tormund.
We'll have to figure it out. So we signing off?
Thanks to all our sponsors.
Yeah.
We have many.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're wealthy in that area.
Absolutely.
Man's nobody without his sponsors. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.